Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm pleased to welcome you to our presentation. Today, we'll be discussing a very important topic, risk management plan. I am Dr. S.K. Singh, and I'll be guiding you through this session. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore what a risk management plan entails, why it's crucial, and how it can help us mitigate potential challenges. So, let's dive in and get started. A medicinal product receives marketing authorization when, for its specific indications, the overall benefit-risk balance is considered favorable for the target population at the time of evaluation. This means that regulators assess whether the benefits of the medicine outweigh the potential risks for the patients who will be using it. It's important to remember that medicinal products are inherently associated with adverse reactions. These reactions can vary quite a bit. They might differ in severity, how often they occur, their impact on individual patients, and even broader implications for public health. However, at the moment of initial authorization, we don't have the complete safety profile of the product. Some adverse reactions and risks may only become apparent after the product has been on the market for some time. That's why ongoing pharmacovigilance, or safety monitoring, and collecting real-world data are so critical during the post-authorization phase. They help us identify and understand risks that weren't fully known at first. This process ensures that we continuously evaluate the safety and benefit of medicines, maintaining a balance that protects public health while providing access to innovative therapies. Now, when we talk about the risk management plan, or RMP, it's important to remember that its main focus should be on those risks that are truly relevant for managing the medicinal product effectively. Essentially, we want to target the risks that could impact patient safety or the product's benefit-risk balance. These risks include undesirable clinical outcomes, which are adverse effects or other negative results that we want to minimize or prevent. For each of these risks, we categorize them into 4 types: identified risks, which are known and well documented; potential risks, which are suspected but not yet confirmed; important identified risks, meaning those that have a significant impact on safety; and important potential risks, which are risks that could become significant if they were to occur. Understanding these categories helps us prioritize our risk management activities. The goal is to ensure that our efforts are aligned with the most critical safety concerns, whether they are already recognized or need further monitoring. In summary, the types of risks in an RMP are defined by their level of certainty and importance, guiding us on where to focus our risk mitigation strategies. This way, our approach remains targeted, efficient, and ultimately protective of patients. When developing the risk management plan, it's important to focus on the risks that are relevant to managing the medicinal product safely and effectively. This means we should only address those risks that are truly significant in the context of the authorized product. From the identified risks, we specifically look at undesirable clinical outcomes that have scientific evidence linking them to the medicinal product. In other words, we focus on adverse effects that are supported by data showing a causal relationship, rather than just potential or theoretical risks. Reports of adverse reactions can come from many sources. These include non-clinical findings confirmed by clinical data, clinical trials, epidemiological studies, and spontaneous reports such as published literature. It's also important to consider situations like off-label use, medication errors, or drug interactions, as these can influence the safety profile. Now, when we talk about potential risks, we're referring to those outcomes that might be linked to the product based on scientific suspicion, but where the evidence is still not enough to confirm causality. So, the key here is to carefully evaluate the evidence and prioritize risks that are more certain. In summary, the RMP should target risks that are both undesirable and supported by solid scientific evidence of a causal relationship. This helps us focus our efforts on managing the most relevant safety concerns, ensuring the best possible benefit-risk balance for patients. Now, let's talk about the RMP and how it should be structured. The Risk Management Plan, or RMP, needs to focus specifically on the important risks we've identified that could impact the overall benefit-risk balance of the product. These are the risks that are most relevant and could significantly influence how the product is used safely. Typically, an important identified risk included in the RMP will require further evaluation. This means we need to look into these risks more closely as part of our pharmacovigilance activities. For example, we would investigate how often these risks occur, how severe they are, whether they are serious, and what the outcomes tend to be under normal use conditions. We also need to understand which specific populations might be more at risk than others. In addition, the RMP should outline risk minimization activities. These are strategies like providing product information that clearly advises healthcare providers on specific clinical actions to take, things that can help reduce or prevent the risk. It could also include additional activities aimed at minimizing these risks, ensuring that safety measures are embedded into the product's use. Overall, the goal here is to ensure that we are continuously monitoring these important risks and actively working to minimize their impact, which ultimately helps us protect patients and maintain the quality of the product. The important potential risks are those that, once further characterized and confirmed, could impact the overall risk-benefit balance of the medicinal product. In other words, these are risks that we need to pay close attention to because they might change how we view the safety and effectiveness of the medicine. If there's a scientific rationale suggesting that an adverse clinical outcome could be linked to off-label use in populations that weren't studied, or the long-term use of the product, then we consider that adverse reaction a potential risk. And if we believe it's important enough, we include it in the safety concerns list as an important potential risk. Including these risks in the risk management plan usually means they'll need further evaluation as part of our pharmacovigilance plan. It's all about continuously monitoring and understanding these risks to ensure patient safety. Remember, identifying and carefully assessing these important potential risks helps us manage them effectively and maintain the overall safety profile of the medicinal product. When we talk about missing information related to risk management planning, we're referring to gaps in what we know about a medicinal product's safety. This could involve areas like long-term use or use in specific patient groups where we don't yet have sufficient data. Essentially, these gaps make it hard to determine if the safety profile for these scenarios differs from what we already understand. Now, it's important to remember that simply not having data, say, because a certain population was excluded from clinical trials, doesn't automatically mean there's a safety concern. What really matters is whether these gaps could lead to different safety outcomes in real-world use. That's where risk management planning comes in. It needs to focus on situations where the safety profile might differ from what we've characterized so far. And crucially, we need a solid scientific rationale for including any missing information in the risk management plan. So, in summary, identifying and understanding these gaps helps us ensure patient safety and guides us on where to focus our monitoring and further study efforts. It's all about proactively managing potential risks based on what we know and what we still need to find out. Now, let's look at the administrative information related to the risk management plan, or RMP, and also review an overview of the product or products involved. It's important to note that the information we present here should be current and accurate, reflecting the latest details in our ongoing application. This means it aligns closely with what we anticipate will be included in the final marketing authorization. Moving on to Part I, which focuses on the product overview. Here, we'll cover the key points that define the product, what it is, and its intended use. This section provides a foundation for understanding the product's role within the overall therapeutic area. Throughout this overview, I'll highlight the most important concepts, things like the product's main indications, its unique features, and safety considerations. These are critical because they help us understand the product's positioning and how it fits within the broader context of patient care and regulatory expectations. Finally, I'll make sure to connect these points back to the overall theme of our presentation, emphasizing how the product's profile and the RMP work together to ensure safety and efficacy. This approach helps us see the bigger picture and appreciate the importance of thorough, accurate information in the regulatory process. The purpose of the safety specification is to provide an adequate discussion on the safety profile of the medicinal product or products. It focuses on those aspects that require further risk management activities. Essentially, it helps us understand what are the key safety concerns and how we plan to address them. The safety specification should include a summary of important identified risks, which are the known risks we've already recognized from data. It also covers important potential risks, those risks that might emerge but aren't fully confirmed yet, and any missing information that we still need to clarify. This document forms the foundation for our pharmacovigilance plan and our risk minimization plan, guiding how we monitor and manage safety throughout the product's life cycle. The safety specification itself is structured into 8 modules within the Risk Management Plan, or RMP. Among these, modules SI, SV, and SVII align directly with the safety specification headings outlined in ICH2E, ensuring consistency across regulatory requirements. Additionally, Module SVI includes extra elements that are specifically required for submission within the European Union, making sure we're meeting regional expectations. So, in summary, the safety specification is a crucial component that helps us identify, communicate, and manage the safety profile of our medicinal product, ensuring patient safety remains at the forefront throughout its development and use. On this slide, we're focusing on the pharmacovigilance plan, which includes post-authorization safety studies. This part of the risk management plan, or RMP, outlines the specific activities we undertake to identify and better understand the risks associated with our medicinal product. The key idea here is to ensure that all stakeholders have a clear view of what we're doing to monitor safety. That's why we include a summary table of these activities. This table helps clarify which activities fall under which category within the plan, making it easier for everyone involved to understand their roles and responsibilities. It's important to note that studies required outside the European Union are typically not included in this RMP unless they are mandated as part of the marketing authorization, a specific obligation, or required by regulatory authorities. This helps keep our plan focused and relevant to the jurisdiction we're operating in. Finally, you'll see a reference to Part III, which contains a summary table of additional pharmacovigilance activities. This table provides an overview of other safety monitoring efforts that support our ongoing commitment to patient safety. By maintaining this structured approach, we ensure comprehensive risk management and continuous safety assessment throughout the product's life cycle. In this part of the RMP, we focus on listing the post-authorization efficacy studies, or PAES, that are required as conditions for the marketing authorization. These studies are imposed either directly when the marketing authorization is granted or as specific obligations, especially in cases of conditional approvals, or when the authorization is granted under exceptional circumstances. The key point here is that these studies are crucial for confirming the efficacy of the product after it has been authorized. They help ensure that the benefits continue to outweigh the risks once the medicine is in widespread use. If no such studies are required for a particular product, then Part IV of the RMP can be left empty, indicating that no additional post-authorization efficacy studies are necessary at this stage. Overall, this section underscores the importance of ongoing evidence collection to support the continued safe and effective use of medicines in real-world settings. It ties back to the overall theme of proactive pharmacovigilance and responsible medicine regulation. Now, moving on to Part V of the RMP, we focus on the risk minimization measures that are planned to address the specific safety concerns associated with this medicinal product. These measures are essential to ensure that the benefits continue to outweigh the risks for patients. Let's start with routine risk minimization activities. These are measures that are standard and apply to all medicinal products. They include the summary of product characteristics, which provides healthcare professionals with detailed information about how to use the product safely. Then, there's the labeling, which can be on both the inner and outer cartons to clearly communicate important safety information at the point of purchase. The package leaflet is another key element. It's designed to inform patients about the safe use of the medication, including potential risks and necessary precautions. Additionally, the pack size and the legal status of the product are considered routine measures. These help control how the product is distributed and used, further minimizing risks. In summary, these routine activities, covering everything from packaging to legal classification, are foundational to ensuring safe use across all patients. They serve as the first line of defense in our risk management strategy, supporting healthcare professionals and patients alike in understanding and mitigating potential safety concerns. On this slide, we see a summary of the key points regarding the public availability of the Risk Management Plan, or RMP, for each authorized medicinal product. Essentially, the main idea is that the RMP, which outlines how risks associated with a medicine are managed, should be accessible to the public. This includes the key elements of the plan, and it must be provided by the marketing authorization holder or applicant for any medicinal product with an RMP. Importantly, this requirement applies regardless of whether the product is authorized centrally through the EMA or nationally within the EU. For centrally authorized products, the agency is responsible for publishing the RMP summary on the EMA website. This is done at the same time as the European Commission's decision, and it's published alongside the European Public Assessment Report, or EPAR, which provides comprehensive information about the product. For medicines authorized at the national level, the RMP summary should be published on the respective national authorities' website. This process ensures transparency and accessibility, so healthcare professionals, patients, and the public can understand how potential risks are being managed for medicines available in the EU. It connects to the overall theme of ensuring safety and accountability in medicinal product regulation by making critical safety information publicly available in a timely manner. Now, let's talk about the annexes in the risk management plan. If applicable, the RMP should include these annexes to provide additional detailed information. When the RMP covers more than one medicinal product, it's usually expected that the annexes will be relevant to all of those products. This helps ensure consistency and clarity across the different products, making the plan more comprehensive and easier to understand. Including annexes also allows us to organize supplementary data or specific details that support the main sections of the RMP without cluttering the core document. Overall, the annexes play a crucial role in enhancing the transparency and completeness of the risk management strategy. For further support, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you have any questions or need additional information, we're here to help. Just contact us through the provided details. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. We truly appreciate your engagement and look forward to assisting you further.